It's the radio guy, Mike Prince. Welcome to another episode of the Mike Prince Show. It is our daily mission to try to bring you some news you can use. Today is no exception to that rule. Follow me on Twitter at the Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is the Open Mic Broadcast Network, and our website is obnradio.com. And without any further delay, we're going to jump right into today's episode. With everything that has been going on throughout the world of realignment, I am thoroughly amazed that no one has really boiled this thing down to its true essence. I'll explain in just a moment. But if you're familiar with the old three-card Monty act, it is an illusional type game where you got to follow the ball and the shell and this, that, and the other. And you think you know what's going on until you pick the wrong one and you end up getting hustled out of whatever little change you had. That is exactly what's going on in the world of college football on the big boy level. Now, we know with USC and UCLA making the announcement to be heading to the Big Ten, and the latest that the Big 12 is trying to lure some of the Pac-12 to be a part of their conference, and Notre Dame just kind of having their field to hip and hop wherever they feel is going to be best for them. The ultimate prize is not in conference realignment, but it's a battle between ESPN and Fox Sports. These two entities are controlling everything that is in the world of college football. The Big Ten and the Big 12 are in full control under Fox. SEC, ACC are run by ESPN. The Pac-12, who gets the short end of the stick out of all of this, had never really solidified a big deal such as the other conferences mentioned. And as a result, this conference, the Pac-12, now is going to be cherry-picked to death. Meanwhile, Notre Dame has been given far too much power and control, would have to end up making a decision, because once these conferences are sold up and they're playing each other, how would Notre Dame stay relevant enough to be even mentioned for a playoff spot in the college football series? So a lot of people I know are leaning toward the Big Ten and Notre Dame matching up. And we know they've been flirting with the ACC for the longest. But here's something totally different that you might want to consider. What if Notre Dame joined the Big 12? I know it sounds crazy, but when you look at the location, Indiana, of course, being the state for Notre Dame, they're not too far off the regional path of the Big 12, and it would be somewhat of an easier path for Notre Dame to be considered for the playoff and a possible championship. In the event you are able to add, in the Big 12's case, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, and oh, by the way, Oregon and Washington, why not? Something to consider. Meanwhile, how does all of this affect those who remain? I.e., your Group 5, your FCS opponents. One thing's for sure, the big paydays for the small programs are on a countdown. You won't see these matchups much longer. So as a result, I've said it a couple of times before, you may want to consider some type of realignment between your Group 5 FCS programs, readjusting on scholarship availability and budgets, this, that, and the other. Now, something that will really help, and is leading to this sooner or later, in my opinion, that's going to be somewhat of a salary cap for those that remain. And I'm thinking anywhere between $7 million and $20 million of range as a salary cap. If you're below the $7 million mark, move on to Division II, but you can't exceed $20 million for the sake of parity. But we shall see. We shall see. Meanwhile, there are things grouping up for the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. August the 4th, they'll report for camp, getting ready for the Labor Day Classic. They'll be hosting the Texas Southern Tigers. During our past few Football Friday episodes, we have the Panthers unofficially at 7-4. As the camp rolls along, we'll go back and further look at that and see if we're going to stick with that 7-4, if we're going to go plus or minus. But right now, at the early looking of the schedule for 2022, we got the Panthers at 7-4. Meanwhile, I want to remind you guys that we have a 24-hour dial-in message line at 713-570-6736. You can call in and leave your questions, thoughts, comments, or concerns at any given time. Let us know what you're thinking about, what you feel about our projections. We love to share them back with you. I want to remind you guys that you can help support the cause here at the Open Mic by visiting the website obmradio.com. Click on the donation button and share your support in that manner. And for all PV fans, if you would be supportive with an $18.76 donation, it would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I am going to exit stage left for right now. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Thank you guys so much for joining in with us. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.